Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another great day in American history. We're going to start with taking a little bit of notes. I apologize for not being here. My son had a doctor's appointment. So we are going to start American expansion. So American expansion really takes a look at how the United States becomes this world power and how the United States is able to expand from just being on the eastern coast to the continental, and then starting to include and expand influence all over in terms of Latin America and also in South America. One of the reasons why the United States is going to be able to extend all this power over all these other areas of the world and eventually even across the Atlantic to Europe is going to be because of the Second Industrial Revolution. The Bessemer process changes the game for everything. It is now something that's going to be able to be producing steel, which is quick and high quality, and it's going to be able to manufacture a lot of stuff. And then once it's manufactured, we have a large number of people coming here to become workers and also consumers at the same time. And then we are going to see that the government realizes that people are being abused by business, so we switch our ideas from laissez-faire to something that's now going to be a little bit more hands-on with our progressive reforms. So we are going to emerge at the end of the 18th century as a major industrial power. Starting in about 1890s, we start to have this new idea about what the vision and mission of the United States is. The United States was something now that should expand their culture to other places in other areas of the world, not just in North America. So we need to create new territories in order to tell people about democracy, tell people about Christianity, and spread our ideas around the world. John O'Sullivan's going to come up with this, and he said that the United States is destined to claim their manifest destiny, and basically manifest destiny is going to be the belief that we are destined to expand our borders from sea to shining sea. First step in the spread it is going to be spreading across the continental United States. We do have, again, a large increase of population due to immigration and the Second Industrial Revolution. We do also have lots of movement internally in the United States with people moving northward in order to become industrial workers in factories. But eventually we need to move these people from the eastern coast across to populate the central part of the United States, which at this time period is pretty much empty. And also we need to provide additional workers for the western coast of the United States as well. So our first step is to expand across is the Louisiana Purchase in 1803. Here you're going to have the French authorities are in control of Louisiana and they revoke the U.S.-Spanish Treaty because they do not agree with it. Basically, on the U.S.-Spanish Treaty, we did have access to the important trading port of New Orleans. France says that we no longer can have access to it. Napoleon then is going to be involved in a whole bunch of wars that you guys talked about last year or last semester in the Napoleonic Wars. He offers to sell Louisiana to the United States as a territory that stretches from the Mississippi River to the Rocky Mountains, and then also from the Gulf of Mexico to the Canadian border. Eventually, we do purchase this area, and Lewis and Clark is going to be sent out on an expedition to actually survey it and actually come back to the government and tell them exactly what they had purchased. We also are going to acquire Texas in 1830. Texas is going to be a little different, and there's going to be a war that's associated with it. So Mexico won independence from Spain, and they did include the area and territory of Texas. And Mexico really needed to populate it, so they did invite settlers in from the United States and other places to populate Texas so they have a working force there, and they can actually cultivate the land. What ended up happening is the number of Americans are going to outnumber the number of Mexicans, and then you start to have a problem because the Americans decide that they want to be part of the United States and not part of Mexico. Mexico then passes the law of April 6, 1830, which is going to ban any additional immigrants from coming from the United States. They're going to start building forts along the U.S.-Mexican border, and they also are going to encourage Mexicans to start to move to Texas so they can get that population balance taken care of. American settlers were upset by this, and eventually they're going to declare that Texas is independent during the Texas Revolution. During the Texas Revolution, you are going to have a bunch of Texas volunteers who are going to be fighting for Texas independence to be defeated by Mexico at the Alamo. 212 Americans are going to be killed, and eventually Sam Houston, who's going to be one of the leaders of the Texas Volunteers, is going to return, defeat Mexico, the Battle of San Juanito, and one of the biggest phrases you have during this time period is they're going to be fighting so they can remember the Alamo. After this, Texas is going to want to try to join the United States, but they're going to have some issues that they have to deal with first, which we're going to address today when you guys move on to watch your video. The next territory is Oregon. Oregon is going to be acquired in 1842. It is going to be required because of the dispute between Canada and the United States and Great Britain. Basically, the issue is, where is the border between the United States and Canada? James Polk is going to win the election based upon his idea that the border should be 5440, which is going to be a lot higher than an existing border. Eventually, they're going to compromise that the border is going to be at the 49th parallel, and this is then going to be in a place from the north where we control, and we say we can move southward and then eventually gain control of California. The idea of manifest destiny is not the only reason we need to expand. The biggest reason, the only reason anything really truly happens is going to be economics. We need to increase our trade. We have all these natural resources. We have all the people here for the labor supply. We need to open more markets, and we need to make sure that we have enough jobs to keep our business cycle running, and that means that we need to open new markets and trade. So we want to expand new port cities in the Pacific Coast and also establish trade with China and Japan, which obviously would be much easier to do if we're doing it from the West Coast than the East Coast. China and Japan have been resistant about U.S. trade and also European trade. When you get to next year in World Cultures, you'll talk about how both of these countries are going to shut the United States out and all European countries out for about 100 years. But eventually, they're going to be signing the Treaty of Wangxia, which is going to agree to protect U.S. business interests in the region. So basically what it does is we gain some rights, the same rights as European countries in China, which is going to be important because we were not imperialistic, and some of China had been carved out by European countries as a sphere of influence. So it wasn't a true colony, but Britain or France or Germany had preferred trading rights in that area. The U.S. does also get the ability to trade in Chinese ports. We do have fixed tariffs that are going to be existing, so obviously the tariffs are going to be relatively low for us to import into China, and we do have the right to buy land for churches and for hospitals. Japan, same deal, closes off from the rest of the world for about 100 years. Japan also is going to entirely refuse to meet with any representatives from the United States or from any European country. It is only going to be after Japan is going to have to be forced to open up, and they're going to be forced to open up for three basic reasons. The United States and Europe wants to open additional ports. We are using steamships at this time period, and we do need to stop in order to refuel our steamships, and we have the desire to spread Christianity. So Commodore Matthew Perry is going to arrive in Tokyo Bay with 4 American warships. They are going to be made with steel. We're going to have cannons on these ships. They're going to be met by Japanese wooden ships. So obviously Japan can see that they are not going to be able to win this war. Japan is going to be very forced to negotiate with the United States, and eventually does have to open up inside the Treaty of Tanganyika, which basically is going to open 2 ports up to U.S. for trading, and the United States is going to be able to send a consulate or a representative ambassador basically to Japan so they can start to negotiate business deals. The U.S. is now embracing this new idea of imperialism, which we really have not been embracing before. The United States was a series of colonies, and as colonies, we felt that the British had abused their power, and we were very, very much against this idea of an imperialism and colonization, and we were also against the idea of involvement with other countries. But because of that second industrial revolution, we really, truly need to reach out in order to maintain markets and natural resources. So then we start to take a look at what kinds of imperialism is going to be okay. So George Washington had warned us that we needed to stay away from alliances and we needed to stay away from other foreign countries in order to solidify ourselves as an independent nation right after the War of Independence, which is true. However, we are now hundreds of years past that, and as a result, and after the Second Industrial Revolution, we do need to get involved. So imperialism, by definition, is a policy of a stronger nation extending their economic, political, or military control over a weaker nation. Then you also have the issues of isolationism, which is avoiding foreign entanglement, so not getting involved with foreign countries. By the late 1800s, many Americans are going to advocate a change or the abandonment of isolationism because of economic purposes, and they want to expand the country in order to keep the country strong, so we can withstand any kind of military threat, but at the same time, we can keep our economy moving with new ports and also new markets. All right, we're going to actually stop there. You guys are going to have the remainder of the period today to watch your video. Your video is number 2, War and Expansion. It's located in the Module 6 American Expansion folder inside of Blackboard. Once you're done with that video, you're going to actually take a quiz. The quiz is also going to be located in Blackboard. You do need to have your lockdown browser operating in order to take the quiz. You can use your worksheet to take the quiz as well. So the video will be completed and the guide turned in, and the quiz also will be completed in this period, and then get put on the back table for the sub to collect. All right, I will see you guys on Monday, and then don't forget to study for your test. The Module 5 test is going to be next week on Tuesday. All right, have a good weekend.